Well, hello there, everyone. This is Kim Evans, and welcome to Inspire Conversations Podcast Show 2021. Oh my gosh, I am so excited about my guests that I have today. But before we get started, for those of you who don't know about me, I'm Kim Evans. I'm the proud owner of Two Gorgeous Integrated Health and Wellness, and I'm also a professional beauty, business, and holistic wellness coach. So, in this podcast, we bring beauty, health, wellness, and opulent wealth and travel from around the world to share with people. So, for today, I have the beautiful Renee Mitchell Simpson. And I'm so excited to have her here. My God, Renee, thank you so much for saying yes to be my guest.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we start, I always love to invite God in my show. So we're just going to open it up just with a quick prayer. So I'm hoping that's okay with you, Renee.
Absolutely.
All right, let's invite God in, everyone. God, I just want to thank you today, Holy One, omnipotent. God, we just want to honor you. We want to give you just grace and thanks for being awesome, God, the creator of this world. God, we just thank you so much just for your being and your creation and your power. God, thank you so much for giving me this voice to be able to share with the world, Lord God, and thank you for our guest, Renee, for being a faithful servant and sharing her gifts and her talents with our podcast listeners. And I want to just bless our podcast listeners as far as from the west to the east and the north and the south, that everyone who's listening to this podcast will be transformed, lifted, motivated, and inspired. Thank you so much, God, for being here with us today. Renee, I'm so excited to have you. Renee, I'm going to start here to read your bio, but before I do that, let me just give you some props, girl. I'm so proud of you and what you do. Renee is a dietitian, she's a plant-based chef, and she's also a travel diva consultant. She's going to tell you a lot more about what she does. But first of all, Renee, thank you so much for saying yes, girl. Thank you so much for saying yes.
Thank you for asking.
I just think that oftentimes we don't give ourselves enough kudos, and we want to see this more with us, with what we do in our genre, in our work, in our life, and among sisters. We want to be able to support one another, business professionals, and I'm always in supporting us, and particularly what we do and how we help other women and other African American women. So before I get into that, let me just explain a little bit about Renee. She's the creator of Well Diva Lifestyle. She teaches Black women in particular how to create self-care, and she embraced the lives and the hearts that they truly desire. And I think that's probably where you get into your travel there as well, right, Renee? So we're going to talk about that. It is her desire that every Black woman knows that it's okay to put herself first. And so a little bit more about your bio, we're going to tell about your story. So I'll leave that for you to share a little bit. But then I think what's so amazing, you're a licensed dietitian, you're a plant-based chef, and you're a travel consultant. So I'm gonna turn it over to you so that you can explain a little bit more about what you do and your dynamic synergy on how you put all that together and you help women with their self-care. So Renee, take it away.
Okay, so yes, I am a registered dietitian. That means that I have a Bachelor of Science in Nutrition, and then I did a 10-month internship and sat for the registration exam in order to become registered. So it's RD, well, now it's RDN, they're calling it Registered Dietitian Nutritionist, to include more holistic nutrition for those of us who have studied that as well. Plant-based chef. So I didn't go fully plant-based myself until more recently, but I did study to become a plant-based chef a few years back. So that means when I do teach classes, I include no animal products in the ingredients. And then the travel part, I was a travel agent. Now I'm a travel agency owner. And I host trips, or I did before the pandemic. I hosted trips all over the world and with an emphasis on wellness. So some of the trips were actually wellness retreats where we would just take a few days away for self-care. And during those sessions, I would teach plant-based cooking. So that's how I've been able to tie it all together.
I just think that is just so awesome. How long have you been doing this kind of work now as a dietitian?
Oh, as a dietitian, ooh, about 17 years. Yeah,
17 years.
about that. Mhm.
So when did you transition from out of medical into just actually doing your own nutrition coaching?
I left my last job it's been about 3 years now, I think, to
Wow.
do the wellness and travel. I stayed at the job for like a year or two. It was about a year, taking like, vacation. And then when it got to the point where there's no more vacation, but I got a trip in Morocco, we got to go. It's either the job or the trip. I asked for time off. I asked to go part-time. They said no, so I had to say goodbye. And that was, I want to say 2018,
I love it.
2017,
I
something like
love
that.
it. So tell me about your plant-based story, your plant-based walk. When did you decide to where your journey was unfolding and leaning more towards plant-based? Share with us that journey.
Yeah, it was probably 30 some odd years ago when my mother became a vegetarian.
Okay.
And at that point, she first saw a nutritionist. Yeah, it was about 30, maybe 40 years ago when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up following behind her. And at that time, I gave up chicken, beef, pork, and I would still eat fish occasionally. And over the years, eventually I started eating chicken again. And then just in the last, I would say maybe 5 years or so, I have been back and forth with the chicken and the fish and seafood. And then finally, about a year ago, I just got to the point where I just didn't want it anymore at all. I just didn't like the way I felt after I ate any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, fish was the last thing. It didn't bother me to eat fish as far as the way I felt, but I just said, I'm eating everything else that's plant-based. If there's a way for me to have plant-based sushi and like it, I'm good. And I figured it out. I went on YouTube, watched some videos, did my little research, and started making my own plant-based sushi and fell in love the first time I made it. And that was it. So I say all that to say that, a lot of times people think they have to go 100% plant-based.
Right.
It can be a process. I mean, it's taken me several years. And I don't really believe people should even do it until they get to the point where they really want to do it and they can. It shouldn't be a struggle. I hear people saying, I gave up beef, but I miss it so much. I don't miss anything at all. None of it. No parts of it. I feel like if that's what you want, eat it unless, your body is really rejecting it. Then, yeah, you do need to listen to your body.
Exactly. I think oftentimes people kind of misconstrue what plant-based is. So let's back up a little bit and let's define what plant-based. I actually sat into a certification with Kaiser a year ago, and we did this 12-week, a lot of health educators, nutritionists. We sat in this 12-week on, and I had already did a course, just something similar to like when I was working on my master's, but I wanted to see Kaiser's perspective. And it was just so amazing that I think that so many people think that plant-based means vegetarian. Plant-based is not vegetarian. And I'll have you define what you think, what of course you're the dietitian, plant-based is most of your diet is 80% plants based. It does not mean that you're not no longer eating meat or you're eating fish, but the majority of your diet is plant-led. alkaline-led foods. You still need your grains, you still need your legumes and things of that nature, but the majority of your diet is plant-based. And if you will, and if you choose, and I always like the perspective of whole foods plant-based. If you want to have some fish in there, if you want to have a little chicken in there, you can, but don't get crazy with it. It's like, oh my God, like garlic to a vampire that I can't have beef. So when your clients are asking you to share the meaning of plant-based, how do you kind of somewhat educate them on it? Your take, your perspective.
So when I say plant-based, and I'm thinking more whole food plant-based, I am meaning all plants.
Yeah.
I'm meaning whole foods, meaning brown rice and whole grains instead of white rice. So I usually say plant-based, but if it's whole food plant-based, then it's going to be whole grains.
Yes.
As opposed to vegan, meaning vegan can be a whole lifestyle, meaning I don't wear any leather, you know. So I don't typically use the term vegan just because, yeah, I do wear leather.
I love the way that, Renee, you added that, because most veganisms never look at their clothing or their home lifestyle. No, they don't. They stop it right at the food. Well, if you're vegan, you're right, then you shouldn't be wearing leather.
Yeah, I'm thinking whole
and all natural fibers. Well, if we, that's another podcast. I mean, if you're gonna go all the way natural, then go all the way natural.
And then also, sometimes people will use the term vegan and, you're eating Oreos and chips. But if you're following a whole food plant-based diet, then you're not eating the more unhealthy foods.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing I am noticing, though, I'm seeing a lot of people, they're calling it vegan, they're calling it plant-based. If there's no animal products, but it's breaded and fried. Everything is breaded and fried. To me, it's almost like you're making a lateral move.
Look at all the toxins that you're getting from the oils that you're using to fry foods in.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to choose a healthier lifestyle, you really shouldn't be frying. It should be more steamed. I mean, I just think that we as educators, that, to share with the world, if you are going to acquire a holistic lifestyle living, then it should be in your processes and your systems as well. So that means very, very little frying or no more frying. You don't need to, because you can enjoy your food, steaming your food, broiling your food, baking your food. There's different processes that you can use to enjoy your food, and you add different kinds of savory herbs with that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a part of the connection of the plant-based lifestyle, as well as the process in which you cook your foods in. So out of all the ones that you've experienced right now, Renee, what would you say, which one has been your most that you're leaning towards? And I know it's cyclical. It depends on, our lives are fluid and dynamic. So sometimes our diet is going to change. Sometimes our approach is going to change, right? But at this moment, which one do you think that you have enjoyed out of all the ones that you've experienced in terms of?
I'm actually loving a meatless lifestyle. Yeah. I really am, because I feel better.
Yeah.
I tend not to like labels. I don't like to say,
yes,
I'm vegan or I'm plant-based. I don't really like that, because at some point I might want to eat something different, and there's no law against that.
There isn't.
So it's like people tend to think they have to have this label. And then I think that also keeps people from making progress towards eating healthier.
Yes.
I mean, you don't, it doesn't have to be all or none.
Yes.
Like I said, you need to go with the way you're feeling.
A holistic lifestyle is not all or none. It's being able to enjoy a balanced lifestyle, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And if you feel like you want to get up sometimes and you're at a restaurant, you want to have a Kobe beef steak, it's your birthday, and you have a Kobe beef steak on your birthday. That's your business. You don't.
Now me, I can't do it, because like I said, it'll make me sick. But if it's okay for somebody to do it,
whatever your choice may be, it might be shrimp. For religious purposes, some people don't eat shellfish.
But I will tell you this. You mentioned Kobe beef, right? And Lord knows I love the cows. I just don't even feel right eating them no more. But but several years ago, I guess about 8 or 9 years ago, I was out to dinner with a group. I was working as a chef at UC Berkeley back then, and it was a corporate dinner. And somebody ordered a porterhouse steak. Now, I had never had a porterhouse steak, and I had not eaten beef in 20 years prior to that. But honey, that steak looked good. So I taste it? I think I did. Yes, I tasted it. I said, you know what? And like I said, I hadn't eaten beef in like 20 years, but I said, you know what? That steak looked good. And this was out in Napa. I tasted that steak. That steak was like some bubble gum, y'all. Yeah, ooh, I said, this steak, this cow has been massaged. This cow has been to the spa. This cow has been taken care of. And I'm not lying. And it did, for some reason, it did not bother my stomach, but it didn't lead me to start eating beef again. It was, that was just it. You know, I tried it and that was that. And then I think it was a year later, because I had been telling my husband about that steak for a year. We went to that restaurant.
I was going to say, did you go back to the same restaurant?
Went to that restaurant, ordered that porterhouse, because I had been telling my family, I was like, y'all got to taste this porterhouse, and they got it, and we loved it.
Was it?
And that was that.
Was it cooked the same way?
It was perfect. It was
okay,
tender.
You got to tell us what's the name of the restaurant, because you know folks are going to ask. Was it the French Laundry? What is it?
No, that was a Napa Valley cow that had been pampered. That cow lived a wonderful life. I know that. I know for a fact that cow lived a very pampered life.
So I'm thinking maybe it was Rutherford Grill.
It wasn't Rutherford. I'm gonna find out.
Okay, you gotta find out.
Because my you know what? Actually, they closed the place, but they had a sister restaurant, and the entire crew, because I followed it, the entire crew went to the sister restaurant. Gosh, what is the name of it? We went over there recently, me and my daughter. We were there last summer. If it comes to me, I will tell you, but I don't know if they still have a porterhouse.
So then
I am not here to promote beef.
I understand. But some people are going to say, hey, I've been working really hard with my plant-based. I want to go and celebrate and have a little bit of beef.
But you know, it's crazy, because for me now, like, to celebrate, like, I celebrate with what, for me, a really good plant-based sushi is a celebration for me. You know what I'm saying? Nice. I just don't want it. I don't miss it. So I feel like you shouldn't be fighting and struggling, you know, to maintain a healthy diet. Your body will get there. Right. You just got to keep introducing yourself to different things, you know.
But I do want to just circle back just 60 seconds. If someone is introducing a meat protein, only thing is keep it clean. Keep it lean and keep it clean. And your thing was you went to this restaurant and it was a high-end grade beef. So if you are going to treat yourself sometimes to some really good chicken, you want antibiotic-free chicken. You know, there's different types of how these chickens are raised. Make sure you go to suitable stores that's actually farming these different kinds of meat. So I just share with my clients, just make sure that it's really of a high grade. Whole Foods always have nice grade meats. Lenardi's have high grade chicken or fish. Just make sure it's a higher grade, that it's clean and that it's lean. And I think that's, you know, really important to mention that for people who sometimes might want to venture off and have a little bit of a meat protein and add it from time to time. Now, real quickly, now, if someone is deficient, or just say that they are anemic. So Renee, sometimes I know one time I was going through an issue where I was severely, I mean, medically, just very, very anemic. And my doctor is like, you know what? I'm so sorry. I know you're working on your degree. I know you're on all this plant-based and all this stuff, but I want you to live too. And you are going to have some organ meat. I want you once a week, because I really had to get my hemocrack levels back up. I had to start eating a little bit of organ meat again. I mean, we did that when we were childhood, and I never did it again. So if you are suffering from severe health conditions, sometimes, or like being anemic, you might
Yeah.
have to have a little red or a little bit of a meat protein. What's your suggestion on that? If
See,
it's
and I've
severe,
been there. I've dealt with anemia
yeah, yeah. If it's
for the
severe,
longest. And I know beets have been a really good recommendation, and blackstrap molasses also. As far as meat, liver, I mean, that's it. Like,
it's
you
liver. Yeah,
eat liver for a couple weeks, that's it. But if you're not gonna
yeah.
do meat, there's always iron supplements as well. I'm trying to say spinach, beets, and blackstrap molasses.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so with that also is liquid Floradex. For those of you out there in the world of severely anemic women, liquid Floradex is also something that you can add, in chlorophyll as well. So what has been your most defining moment when you look back on your food journey, and which one kind of like made you go left from right? It's like, okay, I'm here now. I suffered here, but I'm here now.
I'm gonna tell you, I by accident discovered that I could not tolerate gluten.
Okay.
Totally by accident.
Okay.
Like I said, I worked as a chef at UC Berkeley some years back,
Mm-hmm.
and I was their quality assurance chef, and I was in charge of their food allergy program, developing a food allergy program. And when I first started, I got all my meals there free. So I said, listen, this is what I'm going to do. We were on a 3-week menu schedule, rotation. So I said, I'll tell you what, for 3 weeks, I'm going to eat my meals here. And I'm going to see, I'm going to try and eat all gluten-free for 3 weeks and see if I'm able to do that and get a nice variety. And, and then at the end of the 3 weeks, I'm going to give a report, and I'm going to say either, yeah, you give a nice variety, or no, you don't. We need to add some dishes that are gluten-free.
Okay.
I did that for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the 3 weeks, I was satisfied with the variety, and I went back to my regular diet, which included gluten.
Okay.
And within a week, all these symptoms that I was having that I didn't even realize had gone
Wow.
were back.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
so I was dealing with brain fog and memory loss.
Mm-hmm.
I was dealing with heartburn, really bad indigestion. These things were gone during that 3-week period, and I didn't even notice. They had gone away, and they came back immediately. So I did it again because I was like, wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
So I took gluten out again just to see,
Mm-hmm.
and then I put it back. I went back and forth, honestly, for a whole year just because I refused to believe it.
What made you go back and forth though when you saw that the symptoms
Because
were
I like
removed?
cake, I like bread. I didn't want to give that stuff up.
Gotcha.
That's the one I'm telling you I struggled with. I didn't struggle with meat.
Okay.
Gluten, it took me getting my behind kicked by gluten for all those months.
Wow.
And I actually had gone like a good 6 months or so, and then birthday cake. I just fell off the wagon at birthday cake, and then just decided to eat gluten again, and all that stuff started coming back. I stopped. I said, I can't do this.
So,
and I lost weight. So
what, that actually is a testament to let us know that our bodies can change very rapidly, right? Our bodies can change very, very quickly. You said in 3 weeks that those conditions had minimized or they went away. So
they went away, and I didn't
change.
even realize at the time that an elimination diet takes 3 weeks. I was doing an elimination diet without even knowing.
You was doing an elimination diet. That's one. It's so funny how people, they talk about these keto diets, which is a glorified elimination diet, and that's the first kind of a path that I put someone on. If they're coming to me, I put them directly on a 3-week elimination diet. So also just moderation. So it doesn't mean you have to give up bread, but you
had to give it up.
But it's a pasta. You go to a pasta restaurant. I love my bread too. I don't eat the whole loaf anymore, but I have one slice.
When I say a year, that's what I thought I was gonna just a little here and there. I had to cut it out completely because I had to allow my digestive tract to heal.
Yeah.
So I gave it up completely for 6 years. And
Okay.
then I tried it again. And during that 6-year period, I tried it like once after 3 years. It still bothered me.
Okay.
6 years. That's when I found, okay, I can actually eat this again. And I did for about a year. And then it started over again. So I'm back to no gluten now.
So
and
that's
what I can tolerate though is sourdough.
Sourdough.
And that's gluten, but because of the way it's fermented, I'm able to digest it.
Exactly. I was going to mention that, maybe about sourdough bread. So to your testament of that, if you were working with someone and they had that same struggle, being that you had went through and that's your story, what would you tell them?
I tell them to think about the consequences.
Okay.
Because when you start having indigestion, regardless of whether it's gluten or whatever, if you're having heartburn and indigestion, you need to figure out what food is causing that. And you can keep ignoring it if you want to, but then the next thing you know, you end up with some kind of autoimmune disease and you wonder how you got it.
There it is. There it is right there.
So it's about really self-love, self-care.
Because
your taste buds should not be so doggone important that you're willing to risk your health.
Thank you.
That don't even make no sense.
Because your health is your wealth. On that same note, now we get into mindset. Now we get into self-care. So as we move forward this, we have to make a decision in our minds that our health is better than our taste buds.
Right.
So again, you're going to be triggered. You're going to struggle. These situations are going to come out. Life events, situations. We're going to get out of COVID in a minute. You're going to be going over people's houses. Everybody going to go back to eating. How does one stay on the path, not to the left, not to the right, but I'm not having it. I'm not going to do it. This is my diet. How do you guide them to stay right here? Because they're going to be coming at you for that help.
Right. You got to have a plan. I mean, I'm sorry. You got to have a plan. You just got to have a plan. You got to know before you go to that event.
Exactly.
And that's what people do when you're on a special diet and you're going out to dinner. You get the menu ahead of time and you see what they have. Am I going to this place? Are they going to be able to meet my needs or not?
Yes.
You know.
So,
but I started a membership for people who do want to learn more about cooking plant-based.
Yes.
And it's not, just for people who are following a 100% plant-based diet, but I'm not teaching you how to make chicken, but I am teaching you how to make things that are going to take the place of that.
I love it.
So, you may still eat chicken sometimes, but if you want to learn some other things that are going to help you to take meat out of your diet, that's what we do in the membership.
So tell us about this. You actually have this beautiful program that you actually are starting up. I'm so excited for you. Does it start this month, Renee? Does it start
It started already. It's just, it's still kind of early. I mean, I started it in January.
So tell us about your membership. What's included?
So I call it a cooking club. It's a membership because it's a monthly fee that you pay.
Okay.
But I started it out with showing you how to organize and prepare your pantry for cooking success at home.
Nice.
Okay? That's the first thing, because
it sure is.
If you're going to learn about all these new ingredients and just put them in there right along with the other stuff that you shouldn't be eating, that's going to be a problem. So
you do a pantry clean out?
So first we go over that pantry, we clean it, and then we organize it and we restock it.
Love it.
And it's done in a way that it will stay that way, because you'll have other people in your household. They may come in and put other things in there. You got to set it up so that it stays the way you need it to stay.
Okay.
That's the first thing. And then I started adding some recipes for cooking some of our soul food favorites. That was the first thing that people asked about. And then next I'll start to move into different cultural foods. Everywhere I go, I take cooking classes. So I'm going to share what I've learned there. So I've taken classes in Thailand, India, Dubai, Cuba.
Monaco, right? This is your second time going to Monaco. You've been
No. Morocco. Morocco. Yes,
Okay.
yes, Morocco. Ooh, I want to go to Monaco. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so I will be adding the, how to do plant-based cooking in those different cultures.
So I'm very excited about this. So someone joins your membership and then you do the pantry clean out and we see you. Now, are we actually seeing you doing the cooking? You're going to give us the recipes and we could cook along with you. How is that going to go? You're going to zoom us
So
in?
I've uploaded some videos, but as we go on, I'd like to do more live and interactive, cooking along with you together.
Nice.
So yeah.
Is it going to be also like one meal a month? It's just going to be, say, your spotlight meal on how to make. I'm just throwing some out there because I experimented with it. It was black eyed peas, and I showed it how to put it on a lettuce wrap. It was lettuce
So
wrap, black eyed
it's
peas.
more of it's more of a cultural food per month. So like
Culture food per month. Okay.
for February, I did upload like your soul food list of ingredients,
Okay.
and then the videos to support using, preparing different dishes like
Nice.
a plant-based macaroni and cheese, with vegan cheese, those kind of things.
I love it. How'd that come out? A plant-based macaroni
It
and
was
cheese.
good. It was good. I know. I felt the same way at first. There's different ways to do it. Years ago, I learned how to do it with butternut squash, and I was like, okay, this is really good, but I'm not going to sit up here and call this macaroni and cheese. It's just not. But it was good.
Okay.
It was very good. I actually ate the whole bowl.
I love it.
Took a picture and ate the whole thing, but it was butternut squash. This time I did it the same way we would make our macaroni and cheese, but I did it with plant-based cheese. Okay. So I made like a bechamel sauce and you put the cheese in there, but it was plant-based. I used a plant-based milk and it has a good flavor. It's really good. It was good.
I've seen plenty of your meals that you make and they always look delicious. They're very, very culturally inspired. Sometimes they're inspired by your trips that you've taken, but they always look eye-watering and very like, oh my God, I need to have some of that. So when you're cooking for your family, Renee, what is your favorite meal to cook for them?
I was gonna say my family is like, what country we in now? I do a lot of Asian cooking at home. I like Thai. Night before last, this was really simple, but I just created something. Okay, I put on a pot of water. I put some better than bouillon in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just went to the fridge to see what do I have in here, because I want a soup, but I want it Thai flavor. So I had some Thai chili garlic. I had some Thai bean paste.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a Thai red curry paste. I just put like a tablespoon of each one of those in the water. And I just kept messing with it with that. And I think I added some Bragg's amino.
Yes.
And then I added some garlic, black garlic. I had some black garlic. My husband walked in the door while I was cooking with a bag of black garlic. Okay, somebody at his job, I don't know how they make black garlic, but it's charred black. Okay, I put a whole head of black garlic in there.
Nice.
And if you don't have black garlic, just use garlic. And I put the Bragg's amino and some ginger and garlic. And it was like, okay, this broth is on point. This is perfect. I need to write that down. That's what I do. A lot of creating.
I hope you wrote it down.
I didn't. I'm gonna write it down.
You gotta write it down. It
was so good. So then I chopped up a very thinly sliced half an onion, half a large white onion, put that in there. And then I very thinly sliced a half a green cabbage and put that in there.
Ooh.
Right? And that was the soup. Then I took some tofu. Always keep your tofu in the freezer. Okay.
Thank you for that. Keep
your tofu in the freezer. extra firm.
Okay.
Keep it in the freezer.
Okay.
Thaw it out.
Okay.
Squeeze all the liquid out.
Okay.
It makes it like a sponge. It gives it a
Got it.
much firmer texture. So it's already extra firm, but this makes it even more firm and more meaty-like.
Okay.
Squeeze all that water out.
That's an awesome tip right there. That's an awesome tip.
Keep it in the freezer. And even if you thaw it out and freeze it again, it gives you another texture.
Really?
Okay.
Do you freeze it in the brick with the water?
Or just take when you get from the store, throw it in the freezer.
Okay, as is.
Always put it in the freezer. So then squeeze the water out. I sliced it up and I put it in a marinade of, oh Lord, Bragg's Amino or Tamari. Tamari is gluten-free soy.
Mm-hmm.
And I put some garlic powder in there and I just let it soak up that marinade a little bit and then diced it up and pan fried it. Mm-hmm. And I pan fried it until it was crispy. Okay. So then you put that in your soup. Now, if you want to add the ramen noodles, it'll be even better. I can't do the noodles because I don't do gluten, and I have not found a gluten-free noodle that I just absolutely love other than the zucchini noodles. Love those.
I was going to say, if you spiralize zucchini, just spiralize zucchini and put them in at the last minute.
You could put that in, or you could do your ramen noodle, or I did it without noodles because there was so much cabbage in there.
Okay.
And I also added edamame.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, where's the edamame? Okay, you're going to have to write that one down. That should be one of your specialties that you do in this membership.
I'm going to write that one down. It was good.
That sounds good. So how did your husband enjoy it?
Oh, and then I threw a handful of cilantro on top. This was for me and my daughter because my husband, he is not the tofu lover. but my daughter and I, we loved it.
So you see how cooking can be so inspirational and it's so joyful. And how do we get these women who can't cook to cook? Because a lot of women are not cooking nowadays. We know that. And it is the heart to your man. It is the heart to your beloved. It is the heart to your significant other. And it's definitely better for your health to cook your own food. So will you also be teaching those who don't know how to cook or to find their inspiration back in the kitchen? It's a need.
I definitely can give you the inspiration if you just don't know how to boil water. I mean, I haven't done, real basic, but I certainly can add that in. I mean, so far the ladies who've come into the group have been ladies who do cook, just want to learn about some of the different flavors.
But it's such a gap out there for young ladies, young women who don't. And
I mean, I could definitely add.
Mm-hmm. So how do people join your membership?
The link is so long. I need to.
Okay, that's fine.
But if you go
to
welldiva.com and you scroll down halfway through the page, you'll see a block that says, I think it says cook with us or cook like a well diva. Okay. Click on there.
So I will be including that. So don't worry. So people, after they listen to this podcast that would like to join, you can go right on over and join Cook with Well Diva. And on that note, how did you get the name Well Diva? Yes.
Gosh, it's been a while.
Did you that is kind of, that's your legal name, right? You did.
Yeah. It started out several years ago as culinarytherapy.com.
Okay.
And I changed it from culinarytherapy.com. I went to soulfoodtherapy.com and I sold culinarytherapy.com, the name.
Wow.
For $7,000. Somebody they just sent me an email and said they had a client that wanted to buy that .com.
Wow.
Okay. And they offered me $1,000 and we negotiated for a couple of weeks.
All right.
$7,000.
On that note, y'all always trademark your name. See, she done made $7,000 on her name.
And it was just a .com. It wasn't a trademark name though. It was just a .com.
You own the.
So always buy the .com too.
Always buy the .com too, y'all. If you having your business, you buy your .com and you trademark. But I love the name Well Diva.
So Well Diva, I'm trying to remember. I wanted I was trying to combine everything that I was passionate about. You know, I'm a shopper, I'm a
Mhm.
traveler, I love
Mhm.
good food, I love wellness.
Mhm.
And so it was well diva and the lifestyle part. I just put it all together, like trying to encompass
It's
everything that
perfect.
I was
It's
passionate about.
it's perfect because it
Okay.
encompasses your self-care. And
Yeah.
moving into that, why is self-care so significant piece of your journey in your work?
Yeah, because I always say if you don't have a self-care plan, you're going to need a healthcare plan for sure.
Repeat that one more time. Come on,
If
say
you
that
don't
one more
have
time.
a self-care plan, you're going to need a healthcare plan for sure. I mean, yeah, you have insurance, but you don't want to be having to run to the hospital to have somebody repair you when you could have done maintenance on the front end. When I started in nutrition, I started in clinical working in the hospital, and
Yes.
I'm walking into the hospital to 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 tell people how to follow a diabetic diet, because the next step is you're going to get you're going to start getting some amputations. And it's like we don't need to go that route. I mean, I didn't know before I got into nutrition that diabetes was so manageable. I thought growing up, I thought diabetes was like a death sentence. Somebody got
I know,
diabetes
didn't
and they're
we?
just going to go downhill from here. It doesn't have to go that way.
You get blind, you lose your
Kidney
feet, you
issues,
lose your
it don't
toes,
have to go that way.
you
It
lose
doesn't
your
have to be that way.
amputate your knees, and it doesn't have to be that way. As a matter of fact, we can kind of reverse those conditions
Right,
through the art of nutrition,
right.
right? Well, food therapy, right?
Right. Food is therapy, and you can use it to heal yourself, reverse things, but you got to just listen to your body. Your
As
body
my
will tell you.
as my calling therapist always say, Sharon Jacobs, food is your medicine and medicine is your food. It really, really is. And we have to make that our whole lifestyle in our self-care. So
Hmm.
with your self-care plan, if someone was coming to you and wanted to start a self-care plan, Renee, how would you suggest them to get started? What are 3 steps that you would share with a woman on how to begin to better manage their self-care or to get started on a self-care plan? What would you say were the 3 most important things?
One is managing your time. Making sure you have a dedicated time. I just posted about how this past week I just said Sunday is going to be my day, and I mean my full day of
Mhm.
self care, because
That's right.
during this pandemic, I noticed that I haven't been keeping up with my own self care.
Okay.
It's like
Mhm.
prior to the pandemic, yes, I have my spa appointment and my hair appointment and all this, but then since I've either not been able to go because these places are closed,
Mhm.
or I just don't want to go.
Mhm.
But
Absolutely.
we have to schedule a time if we're going to just do it at home, right? So
Absolutely.
definitely set your time, and then be okay with telling other people no.
Ooh, I
Be
love
okay with having boundaries, because boundaries are self care.
it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Be all right with that. And
Mhm.
then be willing to invest whatever you need to invest in your self care. Your self care is for you. So it's not like, you spent
Mhm.
money on these shoes and this
Mhm.
bag so other people
Mhm.
can see it, but invest your money, your time, the quality needs to be there for your own self care.
And I loved how you just said that is making the time for your self-care, putting
Oh, yeah.
yourself first for your self-care, and then investing whatever you need for you. And we as women really need to be conscious of that and to make that number one. I tell my clients, self-care is the number one rule to your health. So
Yeah.
without that, you have nothing.
Right.
So when you are, wow, look at everything that you've done being a plant-based chef and a dietitian and the work that you've done in clinical, and then now you're starting your membership. How on earth did you get into travel? How did you bring that joy into travel? Because y'all, her name is Well Diva Travel. She does travel around the world. How did you bring that together?
So that the travel part was the easier part.
Oh my God.
I started out, like I said, culinary therapy, soul food therapy. I was trying my best to get Black folks' attention on eating healthier, and that's why it was called soul food therapy. And
Yeah.
it was like crickets, like nobody want to hear the message. But once I said, ladies, we're gonna take a trip and we're gonna go to Arizona and we're gonna learn about self-care in Arizona,
Love it.
that's when I started to get attention.
But you are a glorified travel consultant. You are a licensed travel agent.
So I am now owner of my agency. I used to
Nice.
be a travel agent. Now I own the agency. I had to do the steps it took to own my own, because I used to be under another agency. But yeah, and then it helped that I lived overseas, so I had no fear of travel to anywhere. I mean, nowhere, because I lived in Saudi Arabia, and that's the one place people are afraid to go to. So after living there, I don't think I'm afraid to go anywhere.
How long
So
did you live
that
in
helped.
Saudi? How long were you in Saudi Arabia?
I was in middle school living there. So a couple of years I lived there. My parents were there for 15 years. So I was back and forth visiting them.
Wow.
So we always vacation, in different countries. So it was natural for me to travel. And then I wanted to show other people the places that, I'd been, and some places I hadn't been. So.
But what I love about your travel is that you actually always, you keep it fun, you keep it exciting with the ladies, but you add a self-care element. You're always adding that culinary element to it. You're always adding that well-being element. How do you keep that self-care element in your travel? Do you plan that out when you're
Yeah.
actually creating trips for women?
Yeah, it's part of the itinerary. One of my favorites was Dubai. We were in Dubai 2019, March.
Yes.
This
Yes.
week in 2019, there
Yes.
were, I want to say 24 of us or something like that. We went to Dubai, and we had one day that was a full spa day. It was a 9-hour spa day. And at first, I didn't want to add it to the itinerary, because I thought, who's going to want to do a 9-hour spa day out of 20 some odd women? Right. But I'm thinking the entire group, really. And so I did the spa day the year before, and there were 3 of us. And at the end of the day, because I told the other 2 ladies about it, and at the end of the day, they were like, oh, yes, we loved it. So I said, okay, I'm putting this in the itinerary. And we did it, and everybody loved it. So.
Who could not? I mean, you'd have to be the feet of Chucky not to like a spa treatment. You just absolutely don't like to get touched. I mean, I mean, really,
I know now, but I just thought there's going to be a number of people who are going to be like, no.
Well, they can go play golf. Let them play golf.
But what was really nice, though, was it was at a hotel, at a resort that was on the beach. So not only did you have the spa, it included the access to the beach. So part of the day you went out, you had lunch on the beach, you played in the water, you came back, you went back. It was amazing.
Renee, you have the best life. Beauty, health, wellness.
That's the goal.
I mean, you have the best life.
That is the goal.
Thank God you left from working in hospitals and doing your own thing. That was a great move.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask this question. So the cooking piece of it, how do you actually keep the culinary piece of it when you're traveling, you're creating these trips for the ladies? Do you make sure that there's a cooking kind of exploration in the itinerary? How do you do
so
that?
when I've done the wellness retreats, I have been able to go ahead and find a place to do the cooking class. So far I've gone to the place like the year before.
Nice.
And find a spot to do the cooking class.
Love
And the
it.
last one we did was in Thailand in January 2020, right when the pandemic was started.
Wow.
First week of February, we were in Thailand. That was the last trip we took.
So how was that received? How was that piece of it, that element of of your travel, a cooking class. Is that received by most of the women in the group? Are they open to that exploration? I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, I would love to learn about that if I was in Thailand, Greece, wherever it is. I
Yeah.
think that that's an awesome, because we're foodies. I mean, we're in that holistic lifestyle. I think that would be inspirational for anybody. So is
Yeah.
that very well received? Women
Yes.
that sign up?
Very, very. There have been times where I'm not doing a cooking class, but
Mhm.
I'll arrange for them to go and take a cooking
Exactly. Yes,
class.
that's what I
And
meant.
that's
Yes.
optional.
Yes.
But if I'm calling it a wellness retreat, usually there
Yes.
is a cooking element that I'm doing.
Okay.
And yeah, that we've truly enjoyed that. And
So,
what I really like is what one of the ladies called it the well diva effect. It's when they come back and they're buying different groceries and they're cooking and they're
okay.
posting the
Okay.
pictures.
I have a download. That's a program, the Well Diva Effect. That's a program. That right there, what you just said, I hope you wrote that down. That's a program. The
Okay,
Well Diva Effect.
that's
Absolutely.
what they called it.
Okay, that's awesome. So what is next on the horizon? Tell me where is the next trip planned?
We are finally getting ready to start traveling again, and we're headed to Tanzania in June.
Mm,
Tanzania and Zanzibar.
where's Zanzibar? I know
It's
Tanzania.
East Africa, right on the coast. So Zanzibar is like a
Hmm.
little part right off from Tanzania.
And why those two places?
I'm trying to think, how did that even start? Oh, the ladies were asking. They asked for it. It wasn't a place that was on my agenda, but they asked for it. So I said, okay, and
Ooh.
researched it, and we're going to make it happen.
Are men allowed to come on the trip?
Certain trips, if it's a co-ed trip, a woman who is registered can invite a male guest.
But it's
So
mainly
certain trips are.
But your trips are mainly for women.
Most of the trips are for women, and what I do, I offer roommate matching, and I am very serious about my roommate matching. It's a skill that I'm very proud of. I do have a degree in psychology also, and I must be using it because my roommate matching skills are on fire. You can ask the ladies. I'm serious because I look at your Facebook page. I look at who your friends are.
Wow.
I look at your earrings. I look at your
Wow.
clothes. I look at your hairstyle.
Wow.
And I'm really good at matching you up with someone that you're pretty compatible with. I look at your zodiac sign, your birthday, the state you live in, your education. I am not playing.
That is nice.
It's real deep. And I mean, I've only had one time that I can recall where maybe twice where the roommate match was not on point, and I didn't expect it to be, because sometimes you just don't have enough people to go around to match everybody up, and it's like in this case I only have two people who asked for a roommate, so y'all gonna be roommates, hope it works out. That has happened. And I had one time where two people requested to be roommates, so it threw my chart off. They didn't even know each other.
Ooh.
But they met in my Facebook group and they asked to be paired up.
Did it work out?
It worked out for them, but I had other plans for them. So the other ladies, it didn't. And I knew, I know.
See, that's your art. That's your gift. That's your craft.
I already know. And it's funny because prior to years ago, I used to do matchmaking. When the internet first came out, I used to do matchmaking.
Did you really?
I have one couple that's still married to this day.
You might have to pick that back up after COVID.
Okay.
You might have to pick that one back up because people are going to be ready to date after this.
I know.
So I got to ask this last question, Lorraine. This is great. When is the next wellness retreat? Because you've been talking about all this wellness, about what you do. And I know the ladies that are listening is like, wait a second.
Yeah.
But when is she going to do a wellness retreat? And
actually,
my question, have you thought about doing a virtual wellness retreat?
No.
Okay.
No. I see a lot of people doing them.
Okay.
I think because I'm more focused on working on my membership,
Okay.
that I just
Okay.
don't think I have the time and energy to put into that.
Okay.
But we are
2022
going
maybe?
to. Hmm?
2022 maybe, a wellness retreat for
Yeah,
you?
we're scheduled to go to Bali in October of this year. And
Wow.
I may still have space open for that. But
Wow.
our next stateside one is has been rescheduled to February 2022 in Sedona. We do Sedona every year. We love
Oh,
Sedona.
I love Sedona too.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
wow.
missed it last year because we went to Thailand instead, but we're going back to Sedona.
Do you ever do anything in Napa? Wellness
Yeah,
retreat
we
in Napa?
did Napa. I've done Napa. We did Napa
Only because
a
it's a
couple
little
of
bit
years
more
ago.
local. Okay.
And we
Okay.
were scheduled to do Napa in 2019. I had two of them scheduled for Napa
Mhm,
in
mhm.
2019, but
I would love, but it has just been my passion. I've just been too busy, but I've been wanting to do a wellness retreat in Napa only because it's more local. Now, a lot of people
yeah,
coming out
for
of the
us, yeah,
COVID thing, if they don't want to fly. And I just think like a
right.
3 day like wellness retreat, I think it would just go over so, so well.
Yeah, I usually do Friday to Monday for domestic. And I
Mhm.
am actually possibly doing Hawaii in September.
Again, oh, nice. Well,
Possibly in September, Hawaii. So if
Well,
there's
I have
enough
to
interest.
say, you really have the perfect career. You have carved a perfect niche for yourself.
I worked on
Really,
it,
really
trust.
have. And another question I wanted to bring up real quickly. You had this program that you did some years ago. You
Mhm.
let it go dormant. It was very successful. Then you brought it back. Was it called the Black Woman's Detox Program?
Oh,
Something with
yes.
detox. So
Yes. Yes.
where, and then there were
What
people that wanted it, and I was reading it in your Facebook and in your Facebook group, and you're like, okay, y'all want this. I'm gonna bring it back off the archives so
I
you can
have.
have it. So what did you decide to do with that program?
That program is funny. I was actually meeting with someone today about bringing that back and making it something that you can do on your own. Yeah, because it's a great program. It really is.
Absolutely.
That was Detox for a Diva. And then
Yes.
I changed the name of
You
it.
changed the name.
Try to remember Self Care Reset. I
That's
changed it to Self Care Reset, and we last did it last year was the last time we did it. But yeah, I will bring
I
that
mean, really,
back.
really consider that though, Renee. I mean,
Oh,
the
I
way that
will.
we are at the digital age now, you
Yeah,
can use those programs, you can make it green, you could use Webinar Jam, you
yeah,
can share that's those are sleep coins. I mean, it's something that can help
right,
people that can just be ongoing to where
right,
that they can be self-help. I mean, with our with online courses, it could be something that they can go and do it in their
girl.
self-pace, right?
Yes,
Because you
you're
have the
right.
information and
You're
it
right.
was successful.
It
Something to
really
think
was.
about. So, as we come to a close, Renee, this has been beautiful. Are there any last minute tips that you would like to share with the ladies to help them with their self care, their diet, or their travel?
Something you and I talked about that you wanted me to mention was about traveling during COVID. And yeah, I definitely want to mention that because a lot
Yeah.
of people are afraid to travel right now, and I
Okay.
totally understand.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm not even going out of the house for a lot of things just locally.
Mm-hmm.
But I did recently go to Hawaii just a couple weeks ago for my birthday. And I picked Hawaii because that is someplace tropical that I could go without leaving the country.
Yes.
Once you leave the US, you've got to be tested before you can get back in. And I just wasn't ready for that type of risk.
Mm-hmm.
But Hawaii, you have to be tested before you can even get on the flight to go to any of the islands. So that right there puts you at less risk because you're on a flight where 100% of the people on that flight have tested negative. So that was really reassuring for me. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I want people to realize is that when you go to Target, you don't know if those people are negative or positive.
Good point.
Are
Good
you
point.
getting on a flight going to some of these places that require testing? You know that those people just tested negative. So
That's a good point.
I just feel like you're just a lot less at risk on some of these flights than you are at some of these grocery stores, you know.
That makes so much sense.
And
It
and the
really does.
travel industry does need people to start getting out there. It really
Thank you.
does. Not to
Yeah.
just say jump up and go places and enjoy
Right.
life,
Right.
but the places where, you know, they are strict about entry,
Mhm.
those are some places you can consider going.
All right. And I'm sure that you probably share that information with your clients when they're signing up or getting information or consulting from you.
Mhm. Right.
Absolutely. Wow. So Renee, thank you so much. This has just been such a wealth of information. We're gonna have to come back and we're gonna have to definitely do a part 2. But I gotta ask you, what is your favorite food or snack you love to eat off of the grid? What's your go-to food that you enjoy that gives you comfort?
Mm. Oh Lord, let me think.
And you don't have to cook it. You don't have to cook
I
it.
love my chips and salsa. I mean, just a snack. I love chips and salsa and guacamole. I love to make guacamole. It's so easy to make.
Okay, Renee, are those chips gluten-free chips or just chips?
Tortilla chips are corn. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're gluten-free. They are corn. So I
Okay.
enjoy those. I love dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate. The darker the better. Dark chocolate with a glass of wine. That's one of my favorites.
It has been a pleasure. I am actually going to leave the information on how you can get in contact with Renee. It's just been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Anything
You're
else you'd
welcome.
like to
Thank
ask
you.
me or any last minute things to share? It's been a wealth of information. This has been great.
Thank you. No, it's been fun. I appreciate the time. I really
All
do.
right. So thank you guys for watching our podcast show. We'll be sharing with you some links on how you can actually listen. We are on Speaker. We're on podcast, Apple. We're also on YouTube. We're so excited. We're just growing. Our channel is growing. Thank you so much, Renee, for your time and your effort in sharing all your gifts with us. Thank you, podcast viewers, for listening. This is Kim Evans with Inspired Conversations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.